Today we're going to look at exporting files from Apple numbers for analysis in R. Now I know a lot of us use Macs these days. I love Macs personally. I've got a pretty new M1 Mac Mini that I'm running OS 11 on, and I love it. I use numbers to take care of my music business at home, to handle track reduction and that kind of stuff, and just keeping track of all of this data that you have to as an independent musician. So I'm very familiar with the program, and I'd like to start using that data that I've collected for myself in R. So I'll show you how to export what's called a TSV file, or tab separated value file, that we can import very easily into R to use. So I already have this whale data table open. You'll notice that the first row is all headers. Keep that in mind for later, because that'll come in handy when we go to R. I'm going to go to File, Export to TSV, which is very useful. They have this here. You don't want to include the table names, and you don't need to go into advanced options. That has to do with character encoding. You can see it's Unicode here, so we don't have to deal with that. Don't worry about that. I'm going to go to Next. By default, this file is saved as a TSV file with the extension .tsv. Now that is technically a text file, so if you want, you can change that extension to .txt. But since I just want to show you the kind of easiest way to do this with all of the defaults, I'm just going to leave it as a TSV. So we'll hit export. It automatically gives it that .tsv extension. We're going to go ahead and store that in R, and I actually can use the read.table function to do so. So first of all, we're going to type the path to the file, which remember is whaledata.tsv, and I have it saved in a folder called data there. And then remember how I had mentioned that you should pay attention to the first row because it's like a header row. So that's going to come in handy here, because we're going to say header equals true, which tells it that the first, basically that first row is just all headers. So R understands that. Of course, that may vary depending on the situation of how your data is formatted. But in my case, this is correct. And then we're going to tell it what the separator is, which in this case is a tab, which is \t, which is the tab character. So I'm going to go ahead and run this. And you'll notice that down in the console in the bottom left, we didn't get any errors, which is nice. And so if I go ahead and check this data, you'll see that it copied all of that stuff, including all of the headers up here from that from the table in numbers. So again, like, super simple. Just remember the read.table function. Of course, we can, if you have different options than I do, or your data is formatted differently, you can always get help on the read.table function down here, where it tells you all of the different, all the different flags you can use, which there are a lot, which is great because it allows for a lot of customization. So I hope that helped clear up something for you, and that you're more able to use Apple's built-in software, which is frankly awesome, with R and on your R journey. So with that, I'll see you next week.